Hey, it's Blastzone Mike, and I'm back for another Facebook Live tonight. Tonight I have Giancarlo, Florida, from the band Faithsedge. We'll be talking to him in a minute and you'll be able to listen to some of his music. His song Jennifer that they just released as a single, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, so we're going to start out with that. If anybody has any questions or comments, please leave them below. Uh, if you want to know anything about Faithsedge, let me know about. Just put it in the comments and all that. Hope we'll get it into the uh, Blastzone Mike and Pinky Bob page and all that. So all's good there. So hey, Giancarlo, what's going on, man?
Hey man, this is my first time doing this Facebook Live thing, so I'm doing good. How are you?
I am perfect, man. You know, it's my, let's see, this is my, what is today, the 24th? I was going to be doing one every day for a year, but Hope got sick, so I couldn't do one the night she got sick. So that's the only day I missed. So I've done 23 of them now. When I start doing people overseas, like I got an interview, I'm going to be doing one with, how you say his name, Bozy from Shotgun Messiah. That's going to be done at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon because of their time difference over there. But so there'll be two on that day whenever we decide to do that. Because that time difference, you got two band members that are from overseas, so you know about the time difference.
Yeah.
So
been working that out. Try recording an album like that.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? So yeah, but most of the time now that you got me on that, most of the time now the bands aren't even in the studio all of them together. They just send their stuff back and forth, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much. With file sharing and stuff, you can record something and then you just send it, to each other. I just demoed the whole album, and then we start sending it to each other. Find a different studio, or some guys know a studio they can record at, give them a real good deal, or it's cool as long as the chemistry's there.
Yeah, that's great. So you have a band called Faithsedge, and this is your third album.
Yes, number 3.
And tell the people all about it.
It came out about 6-7 months ago. It doesn't seem like it, but we keep promoting it. So, in America, Europe, and Japan, it's been rolling along.
And tell me about who's in your band, Faithsedge.
What's that?
Tell everybody who's in your band, Faithsedge.
Well, me, because I'm joking. Myself on vocals and guitar, like rhythm guitar, and I write songs, songwriter. Then we have Alex DeRosso. He's been on all the albums. He's our lead guitar player. He used to play guitar for Dawkins. We have Tim Gaines from Striper. He's our bass player. And Matt Starr from Ace Frehley's band on drums, and he plays for Mr. Big too. And then we got Alessandro Vecchio from Hardline on the keyboards. He produced it, and he also there's a lot of melodic rock records for like Frontiers Records and AFM and a lot of labels. So he's the go-to guy. So it's a good combination.
Now, how did you get all these guys to be involved with Faithsedge? Like, you mentioned Matt Starr. You got Tim Gaines from Striper. How'd you get all these guys to, want to be a part of this? Hey, David, what's going on?
I met Tim Gaines when I was 19 or 20. His wife at the time and I had a job in Fullerton City here in California, and we ended up becoming real close friends, almost like family. And I always kept in touch with them, just as friends. Striper would roll through town, and I would go hang out, and just, nothing more than that. I never thought something like this would happen. But we, after the second album, my producer, Fabrizio Grossi, for the first 2 albums, played bass. And he wasn't going to be doing the production anymore, moving over to Alessandro. And Tim's name came up by a few people, and I always thought it would be cool. So I submitted the songs, and I submitted one song to him, and then he was good with it. And strange enough, like 15 years later it was, same city, I'm playing a gig in Fullerton, and Matt Starr covers for drum mat. He came in to sit in for the drums, and we just hit it off as friends. So at the end of the second album, our drummer for the first two albums, it was kind of like more of a studio band, and I wanted us to be like a real band. So I thought Matt would be perfect. Same deal. I sent him a song, and then he was in. So it kind of worked out that way. It just worked its way out. And then Alessandro, doing the production and the keyboards, he had contacted me on Facebook. He was a fan of our first record, and I was a fan of his. So it just kind of worked out. Everything just came together.
Cool. And now with this new album, you all still have never actually toured or played a live show, correct?
Not yet. We haven't.
That's just because of how the logistics of it is.
I mean, there's different ways to look at it. You have the industry today. You know, there's not the amount of money coming in from it anymore with labels and stuff like that. So you got to come up with a game plan, and we'll see what happens with the new lineup once we do the next album. But it's not what it was. So, and everybody lives so far apart, it's hard to kind of get everybody together. But we'll see what happens.
So is all the members that are in the band now going to be on the next album?
Yes.
What?
Alex, our guitar player, flew up from Italy last week for the NAMM convention, and we had a meeting about it and what's going to happen. So Tim Gaines, everything's cool with him, and Matt Starr was at the event too, so he's all excited and I'm excited. So start writing. But yeah, it should be the same lineup. I mean, I at least know what those four. With Alessandro, I got to talk to him. I don't think it's an issue. So
is Matt still playing with Ace Frehley?
Off and on. Like he played on a cover with Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley on Ace's new solo album, but I don't know how many songs he played on that album. He's kind of off and on with Ace. I saw like he'll play with them and then he'll go do Mr. Big and then he'll do a song or two with Ace. But you know, yeah, he works with him a lot.
So he don't actually tour with Ace then?
He used to, but not right now. Right now he just did some shows with Mr. Big.
Oh, cool.
Yes and no. Sometimes you will. You might see him there. Sometimes they have another drummer. But in general, yeah, I mean, he still jams with Ace and things of that nature. But live lately, no, I think they have somebody else. But, you know, he still records with them too.
Yeah, I just seen, speaking of people in your band, I just saw Tim play with Stryper on the 30 Years of To Hell with the Devil tour. And they're a great band. I saw them at Rocklahoma in 2009. Tim wasn't with them then, I don't think. I think the other bass player was.
Oh yeah, Tracy Ferrari.
And it seemed like it's, you know, I don't want to get into the whole Stryper thing. I'm just saying, you know, it seemed like back then they just looked like they were having more fun than he did when this 30-year tour, you know. It seemed like it was time to put a nail in the coffin and be done with it, honestly.
Well, I saw him here and the show was good. You know, that's a tough subject because I don't know really the other guys. I just know Tim. And my working experience with him was fine. And anything in his personal life that happened last year doesn't affect me. You know, he's a good guy, easy to work with, did a great job. He had no ego when it came down to either promotion, press, doing interviews with me. I mean, I can name so many good things in terms of how easy it was to work with him. So, but, you know, Stryper's a money, you know, they got a bunch, you know, money and touring and this and that. So, you know, Michael Sweet's opinion on
Yeah.
affect my working relationship with him because he's always respectful for me. People break up, people go through things in life, and you got to be there for your friends. And I'm trying to do that for Tim. You know, that's all I can do.
Yeah, exactly. I understand. Well, the single that you just put out is Jennifer. Can you tell us a little?
The most recent one, yeah, about a month ago.
Can you tell everybody about it?
Jennifer is something. Well, the video was an idea I had came up with, and everybody's like, "You should do that. You should do that." And I kind of was like, "Yeah, sure," and then it ended up happening. So that was cool. The song subject is different than the video. So the song is about my cousin. She had passed away when she was 16 in a car accident. The song is about when we think about maybe when somebody passes away, they're still either protecting us or looking out for us. And I'm just thinking about, you know, how difficult life can be, and if she's still there, I can use a little help because of how difficult things are sometimes. And that's what the song's about. I think she would have really enjoyed the song. She was a great person and great to grow up with her, and we spent a lot of time and a lot of laughs. So, you know, it's in Faithsedge, I try to take real life situations and put them into my lyrics. So, and everybody really likes the song, so I'm happy with it. Very happy with that song.
Cool. Well, let's listen to a little bit of it, and then we'll get back to talking a little bit more. Okay.
Sounds good.
That's a little bit of Jennifer. You all can go to where, Giancarlo, and see it.
Faithsedgemusic.com or www.faithsedgemusic.com. Or you can just Google Faithsedge. All sorts of good stuff because our band name, nobody else has something like that.
And it's available in Japan and Europe.
And U.S. Yeah, all over the world. For America, our distributor is E1, and for Japan, it's Universal. So you can even get the Japanese version if you're extremely diehard, like through Walmart and Best Buy and Target, because Universal is a huge company. So you can get the Japanese version too if you want, even in the States. It's pretty easy to find. Amazon, yeah, all sorts of good folks online are carrying it.
And eventually we're going to have it on vinyl. It's going to be on a blue, you're looking at the ocean type blue color, and that'll be on vinyl here this year sometime. It'll be put out on my label. I'm excited about it. It's a beautiful album cover. It's going to be a beautiful record. The record's going to sound great, and you all know more about that later. And we'll have Giancarlo on again when we start promoting that and things. Giancarlo was going to be playing for me at Rock and School, but I decided to pull out of Rock and School, and I'm not going to be doing that this year. There's some other plans in the works for some other things that me and Giancarlo might do later later in the year, and those things we'll talk about at a later time when all those things are officially together. And yeah, what do you say about that, Giancarlo?
Yeah, it's everything. I agree. Great album cover. It's gonna look cool. Very cool. I like the idea with the ocean blue too for the vinyl. And yeah, I'm ready to play. I'm always ready to rock.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about you now, okay? You're a really interesting guy because you were really good friends with Janie Lane.
Yes, I was. Yes, when I was a teenager.
Tell everybody about how that become about and how you were friends with such an iconic songwriter and a visionary for his time.
It's funny. It's like people say that about him now. They didn't say that about him back then. Everybody talks about how talented Janie was, what a great writer he was, what a loss of music. But people were really bad to him, when he was alive. They were very mean. So it's weird. It's really weird how that. I mean, you knew he was good all along, and a lot of the fans knew that. With the press and even some of the other bands, and I feel at times even his own band members. I don't think he was really appreciated the way he should have been. And then when he was gone, everybody was like, "Oh my God." All I knew is he was a talented performer. He was extremely mentoring towards me when I was a kid. Would call me on the phone, get me backstage at the shows, we hang out like buddies. But it was a loss. It was a complete loss. I fell out of touch with him in the end. But it was just interesting because when he passed away, that final song he did for Liberty and Justice, Sin, I ended up doing the cover for that at the college I was going to, and I was working there at the time, and I had the honor of getting that together with somebody at my work, and I was glad I was able to honor him in some shape or form with that cover. So.
Now, me personally, uh, the first time I ever saw Warrant was in '91, and it was Warrant Firehouse and Trickster. It was at Louisville Gardens here in Kentucky. That was the second show I'd ever went to in my life. The first one was and Winger Tangier and Extreme. Well, it was Extreme then Tangier. That was the first show I'd ever went to in my life, and Warrant was the second show, and it was weird because 2 years later I seen Warrant playing clubs. They went from being in this big ass place that was like, 7, 8 thousand people, and it was packed, to playing in a club that only held 500 people. But the one thing that you can say about Janie Lane through that all is Janie played. If it was two people, he played the same as he did when he played to 10,000 people. And I was there, and I was there for the, and I was there for the infamous meltdown at Rocklahoma. Me and my wife were there. Yeah, we saw that. We saw the infamous meltdown. Janie had told me I'd seen Janie backstage that day because he'd already got in trouble with the band a couple of times, I guess, on that tour. And he was standing there, and I said, "Janie, how's things going?" Because I'd met Janie several times. I've seen Warrant like in the whole time that I've been alive. I've probably seen Warrant 10 times, and you know he he talked to me, and I said, "How are things going, man?" And he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be good tonight. It's gonna be good. I'm not drinking. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that." And I'm like, "Okay, man. I hope so. I hope things go good." And man, I don't know if there's any video of it on YouTube, but the meltdown was bad. It was like,
I'm sorry, man. I played his memorial, his second memorial, and I got to learn a lot about him. And when you learn more about Jamie, you're kind of like, wow, his history and his family and things like that. So, and his friends, he had a lot of good friends. And it's just a shame. When I used to hang out with him, he was pretty private about when he would drink, and he wasn't like
Yeah.
When I saw him on TV, they did something for Fit Club or something. He didn't act like that. So,
you know, in his last interview he did on that metal show, he died right after that, close to that. I did an interview with Don Jameson. Uh, you know, it was a live interview I did with him on video and all that. And we talked about that episode. And, you know, after he left, you know, Don and Eddie and the other guy, I can't think of his name right now, they were talking about it, and they said, you know, Janie looks rough. They said, he won't be here for another year. And, you know, they seen it, you know, they seen it in his eyes. They seen it, you know, they saw the whole, you know, Don said that it took everything he had not to just break down, man, when they were sitting there beside each other talking, because he just wasn't himself, you know. And those guys, you know, those guys like Eddie Trunk, hell, them guys have seen him hundreds of times play, probably, you know, because they're in that scene. And
it was a shocker. I mean, I just thought he would be all right. You know, when I was a kid, I just kind of, you know, this was my hero, so I left it as is. And then,
you know what?
Sometimes we think our heroes are invincible. So.
Yeah, but you know, Giancarlo, you know, the bad thing about rock music in general is all the guys that we grew up listening to. Well, you're a little bit younger than me, but still, we all listen to the same stuff, basically. You know, whoever thought that Kevin DeBurrow would die alone? You know, who would ever thought that Nikki Sixx would be shooting heroin alone in his closet? You know, I mean, we know more about people today. We know more about people because of the internet. Back then, you know, when Nikki was going through that, you know, I was young and you were even younger than me, and hell, all we knew is what we saw on Metal Edge. You know, or what we saw on you know, MTV. We didn't see that kind of stuff. Now, you know, as soon as you know, Scott Stapp went batshit crazy, we knew about it that day. You know, when this person died, we know about it that day. I mean, we just live in another society where nothing can be secret anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just one of those societies. But I do have a deep love for Janie Lane. Uh, One of the first bands I ever listened to. I have one more story about him, and we'll move on. I have a friend that I have a friend that's out in L.A. and Janie would come watch him play. You know, he's a legend there in the underground of L.A. and he told me some stories about Janie. He said that, you know, Janie would come out and watch him play, and he said Janie had Warrant. You know, he had Plain Jane at the time, I think was the name of the band, and but he had Warrant already decided. He'd already decided all the songs that were going to be on the record. He'd wrote everything. You know, he was ready when they got signed. He was ready. And the thing about it is, people don't understand. Janie wrote everything. You know.
Well, yeah, I'm a fan of Janie Lane. Honestly, I'm not. I don't bash other bands, but I'm not a fan of Warren. I'm a fan of Janie Lane. Whenever I post something, I say Janie Lane. To me, Janie was what made it. Him and his songwriting, his voice.
Exactly.
That's it. There's not. I mean, Dog Eat Dog was the moment for them, for me, and he wrote it all on his own. And you know, they were bringing in studio musicians and stuff. And it's funny to see them out playing now. You know, and he wrote everything. I just don't understand it. But, you know, I don't understand a lot of bands from the 80s.
Let me ask you a question.
I guess people got to work, right? We all got to work.
Yeah. One thing that I never understood, and maybe you know, or maybe you don't know, why did he hate Cherry Pie so bad? Because that's what the meltdown was about at Rocklahoma that night.
I didn't. That's the only song I didn't play as memorial from the big hits. I knew he didn't like it.
But why? I mean, that's what made him famous.
It's catchy, but I mean, put yourself in his shoes. You know, maybe I'm able to, as a songwriter, say that song 91. That song's 25 years old now.
Yeah.
20 years ago. So say it like me. I'm in my 30s, and 20 years from now, if my big song was a song called Cherry Pie and about a girl love, you know, I can understand where he was coming from. He had so much to offer, like Uncle Tom's Cabin. Now, I'm sure you'd want to be remembered more for that song because of how the concept and the story I can understand where he was coming from as a songwriter, because a lot of us are so dear to our songs.
Mm-hmm.
There's something online where he talks about, like, not that he was forced into the song, but the album was done, and then the label said, well, we want you to go write a song that's like an Aerosmith pop type hit. He said, Love in an Elevator is what the label said. We want you to do something like that. I was like, okay, I'll go write it. And he did. And then the label turned it into the promotion and blah, 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 blah. And he played on MTV every day. I just think he wanted to be known more for his other songs.
Mm-hmm. And
Memorial, I showcased his other songs.
And, you know, that night, and Hope's sitting right here with me. She remembers it. We talk about it sometimes. He completely melted down, didn't he, Hope? Yeah. I mean, it was sad, you know. And, you know, when he melted down, that's what the whole thing was about, Uncle Tom's Cabin. He singled out VH1 and MTV and said that, you know, going to rant and cussing that, you know, why would you make Cherry Pie so big when Uncle Tom's Cabin is the greatest song I ever wrote? You know?
Yeah, I love that song.
You know, and he...
Mr. Rainmaker.
Mr. Rainmaker, great song too.
Yep.
You know,
that's the music business.
What do you think of this new thing they put out of Janie Lane?
The what?
What do you think of this new thing they put out of Janie Lane?
Yeah, I saw that. I was at Amoeba Records here in Los Angeles. It's a place on Sunset Strip, and they had it. I haven't listened to it, but I saw it. I saw the cover, and strange enough, the label accidentally put the wrong stickers on the cover. The label, yeah. So the record company actually put some other artist sticker on it. So like Faithsedge album says, you know, Faithsedge Restoration with Jim from Striper, blah 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 blah. It's got like a little plug and a sticker before you take off the packaging. So I pulled out the CD at Amoeba Records, and it said Janie Lane, whatever it's called, and it had some other artist sticker on all the copies. So the label even dropped the ball. I don't know if it was a quick cash grab. I don't know what it was, but you know, I never listened to it. Maybe the cover wasn't that appealing to me. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I never listened to it. I listened to his other stuff though. I'll go on YouTube and listen to like his demos and stuff and things that are on there. It's like, wow, this would have been cool if it would have got completed. There's some cool stuff on YouTube, some rare songs.
Well, when you were growing up, who did you listen to?
Oh boy, everything on MTV. I was an 80s kid. So I would come home after school, sit there and watch everything from George Michael to Striper to Richard Marx to Michael Jackson to, you know, to heavier stuff. You know, I'd watch it all the time. I was kind of like an MTV addict. It was so cool. To Headbangers Ball, you know, Megadeth, Anthrax, Metallica. I had all this awesome music around me. And where I used to live, there was 5 music stores within not even a mile. That's how awesome the music business was. I tell my kids that. I'm like, there was a music store here, all gone now. They're all wiped out. And it was a great time to be alive because the late 80s to the early 90s to about 92, they still had all these music stores, you know. And then the alternative scene came in, and that was the beginning of the end. I mean, stores still stayed open for a while, but once the music pirating started in 1999, it was all just, how are you gonna have a restaurant and customers don't pay to eat?
Yeah.
It just wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
That's what happened to the whole music business, which goes back to what we were talking about touring. How is my label going to front all this money and put us on touring when people are just stealing the albums left and right? That's what the labels are stuck with, and there isn't any many labels yet. I mean, all the left, the best ones are all in Europe, you know, in Japan. That's what we got to do. So
yeah, exactly.
Like, in stores all over, you know, in Japan. I have the girls from Japan. I'm sure you've seen on my Facebook. They're tagged me in their Tower Records or this or that in Japan. But in America, what are you going to do? All the stores are closed. And that's why you don't have the next Metallica or the next Guns N' Roses or the next Megadeth. I feel we could easily have been one of those bands, but there's just not enough money. Everybody wants to steal it, so that's what they get. They get stuck with whatever's out right now.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. You know, like, you know, I hear all the time on the internet or see on the internet that, you know, we got all these festivals going on now. Everything from Rock and Skull to Rock Wisconsin to you name it. There's all kinds of festivals. You know, 2 years ago there wasn't that many festivals. 3 years ago there wasn't but maybe one or two. Now they're everywhere, and everybody keeps on begging. Bring Grand Design over. Bring this band from Europe over. Bring that band from Europe over. And
Yeah.
people don't understand that it's so hard to bring those bands from Europe over here, or you know, from Japan even, because to get them into the States, it costs as a band or a label a fortune. It's like $3,000 or $4,000 just to get them here.
Yeah. And then you got to rehearse. How are you going to throw them in a rehearsal room, you know, for a day and have them go out and play a full concert? That's difficult because a lot of these band members are like what we're doing. You got one from Italy, you got one from Sweden, you got one from US, you got one from, you know, it's difficult. You know, I remember when Tony Harnell quit TNT for a little while because he would have to go to Norway, have to go to Norway, have to go to Norway. He's back with them now, but I think now it's working where, you know, the promotion's there, they've got a bunch of shows booked. It's difficult, man. I mean, most of the guys I know from the scene, we talk online. I got my record deal in Japan through a referral for the band Eaton's Curses bass player gave me some info. I don't know if he's a band, but he helped me out. And he's in, I don't even know what country. He's in Norway or Sweden or something, or the UK, I don't even know. But see, the cool thing is there's more of a circulation of music around the world that we connect with. You know, fan of the band X Japan. I was listening to them when I was a teenager. Nobody knew who they were. Now I can say, hey, go check out X Japan. They can go there on YouTube. There's a lot of advantages to internationally getting your music out there. But until people start paying for it and the music stores come back, or the government in America does something about it, this is what we're stuck with.
Yeah.
It's the best of it. I'm lucky to even have a record deal in the state the music business is in, and I'm thankful. But I honestly know guys from the 80s that people are crazy over wouldn't have survived in today's industry. I know because I deal with it and I see how much they fight and cry and whine. They wouldn't even be able to survive as a new band. They wouldn't, because all they did is fight. The labels would just say, we don't got time for this, bye.
Or you could be, you know, that's a good point, but like the label over in Italy that your keyboard player works for.
Yeah, Frontiers.
You know, it's wild to see who they've signed for releases this year. They're all 80s bands that they didn't sign for the last 15, 20 years, but now they're running out of people to sign, so they're picking up all these 80s bands. You know, Bullet Boys, Love Hate, Enough's Enough. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, I'm not saying those bands are bad, but, you know, why didn't they help them back when 15, 20 years ago when no labels wanted them? And now, you know, they just signed LA Guns. I mean, if you're an 80s band that was in the 80s, you'll probably get signed for Frontiers right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, man, they're signing stuff at this point, and it's none of my business because I don't have a contract with them. But I'm a fan of what Frontiers was doing. Was a very big fan of it. The high quality stuff, or even Eclipse is a phenomenal new band. They have some bands from Europe that are really good, or I like what they've done with House of Lords and other bands. But yeah, lately they're starting to sign ones that I don't want to say brought down the scene in America, but when you're signing bands that I won't mention that really hurt the music scene and allowed alternative music to come in, and Frontiers is signing those bands now. So you're spot on with that. And
well, wait a minute now. Wait, you need to understand. We've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
I'm a big 80s glam fan, okay? So I'm not ragging on those guys. I'm not ragging on any of those guys at all. What I'm saying is that makes them look like Frontiers didn't care about them like 20 years ago, but now they're signing them because that's all they can sign.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, there's nothing new, you know?
If people are interested in 80s my band. I got the guy from Striper. You know, I got the guy. So, I mean, it does help. I mean, we got a lot more press on this album compared to the last two just because of who was in the band.
Yeah.
You know, it garnished more interest from people.
I mean, and look, Ace Frehley even has Enough's Enough going out on tour with them.
I saw that.
You know, I mean, that to me is pretty amazing. You know, that Ace Frehley's going to take Enough's Enough out with them. I remember when the tour came with Bullet Boys, Bang Tango. Let me think. It's Bullet Boys, Bang Tango. I can't remember another band. The whole band was the same except for the singers.
Oh wow! Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, the singers would play their songs with those guys. Those guys would take a break, then they come back, and then another singer would come up and do that. You know, it's wild because like Bang Tango, for instance, they have Rowan Robinson in the band. You know, he's their guitar player. And, you know, Rowan, or however you say his name is, he, you know, is from the Dio era. And he's in DC4.
Wait a sec. I knew that name because I think I just played with him this weekend. Does he have shorter hair, like blonde, and it's combed down a little bit?
Yeah, probably now, yeah.
Yeah. I believe he was at that NAMM jam I did. I believe.
Who all did you get to play with there?
There was like 40 of them. I played with Jeff, one of the Duncan brothers, the guy in Armored Saint. There's the Duncans. They played in Odin. I played with my friend Walter, who plays for Survivor right now. It was cool. What they did is they like rotated the band members.
Oh, cool.
They would have like the guys, two of the guys from Hurricane, and they sang with the singer from the Babies. It was really cool. Then we have Michelangelo, and he would play with Jeff Young, who used to be in Megadeth. It was a great show. There's some videos of it surfacing on YouTube. It was really cool.
What was the songs that you got to do?
He used to sing from Anthrax, and I met him obviously at the show and talked to him at NAMM. He's so big, I was intimidated to meet him because he looks so, you know, like not like a monster character, but like you know, a little scary.
I met him.
5'5", and you know, he was really nice. I talked to him for a good 10-15 minutes. Really nice guy.
I met him at Rocklahoma in 2008, and you're right, he's very intimidating.
He's huge.
Yeah, he's huge. He's like Kane Roberts huge.
Yes.
You know?
You're like, hi, but he's totally nice. He's like, hey, what's going on? Very friendly. It's like got good people skills when you talk to him. He's not all slunched over and drunk or something. He's like really cool. He wanted to know how the show went, what I thought, blah, 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 blah. You know, he paid attention to my performance. He cares about his live performance, which is great because, you know, some people from back in the day are like, whatever. He really still cares about getting out there and doing a good job, and for his shows and also for his live performance. So it was my first experience meeting Neil, and it was great.
And on top of that, you don't sit around bitch because you're not the singer of Anthrax anymore.
No, I mean, dude, he's got some pipes. I was just like, whoa. I mean, he can hit all the high notes and all the screams, and I like his voice because it's, you know, I have that going a little too where it's not too clean. He's got a little bit of a rust on it, you know. It's a little punchy, and I like that about his voice. Yeah, great performer.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before we go tonight?
No, I mean, this was cool. I hope I didn't blab too much.
No.
You know? And, you know, I'm more about, I like to share my opinion on the scene, you know, not any band specific, but when we get to talk about that, like when I did my thing with Sleaze Rock's interview a few weeks back, you know, I like to say a few things now more than what I would say before. Before I was very reserved. I like really not arguing with interviewers, but kind of getting their feel on it, how the scene's going, or what kind of music, and throwing things back and forth. So I'm glad we were able to do that tonight.
Yeah, man. You know, I knew because we talked quite a bit. I knew you weren't a glam fan, so you know.
You know,
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. That's what you're going to say.
I'm just not, probably what it is I was raised in Los Angeles. And I really saw the change from 1991 to 92 because I was a kid. I remember walking in, and I was like a fan of more of the arena rockers. I liked Winger. I liked Warren, or J.D. Lane, should I say. I liked Slaughter. I liked Firehouse. They had a big production, a big sound, a big stage show. I wasn't into the LA type Sunset Strip Hollywood thing. It's just not my thing. Maybe because I grew up here. Maybe because I'm European. I don't know. But it just never. I mean, I've seen LA Guns a few times. I was pretty impressed. But maybe it's the outfits. I don't know. But a lot of our fans do dig it, and that's totally cool. So I don't want to cut into any band specifically.
Yeah.
Even, some people, I've seen reviews on us when they think we are semi-inspired by bands that are not glam, but like they'll review us and compare us to bands that I'm like, I would never listen to that band. But they used to listen to, and if they want to compare us to that too, even if it's glam, I'm cool with it. I'm not the type of guy that goes, oh, it totally sucks. I would never listen to it. It just wasn't my thing, it just wasn't. Maybe I should check some more of it out, Sometimes it's good to be more open-minded.
Yeah, well, that's just what I liked when I was growing up. Motley Crue, the whole, sleazy Wasp, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's heavy though, musically. I mean, I like Motley with Karate. That was my album.
Motley Crue with Karate was probably one of the greatest albums ever made.
Yeah, well, see, we're on the same page there, so we both win.
But, I also like Too Fast for Love. That's probably my favorite Motley Crue album.
Yeah.
Vince sounded like Mickey Mouse.
It was all stripped down and raw too, and dirty. That was cool. So
yeah.
My favorite would be the Karate one, and then of course Shout at the Devil and all that shit. You know what I mean? So that's what I would listen to.
Of course.
Yeah, it's all a big musical family, and we try to say, what we like about it, what we didn't like about it, what we felt could have been improved, not improved. And you see that today, and that's cool. Sometimes I'll read reviews about myself like, that was just bullshit. Or I'll be like, that's a good point, So I try to listen to other people's value on music because I know a lot of people love it as much as I do.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, it's been nice talking to you, Giancarlo, and when we get some more stuff going down the road, I'll have you back. We'll talk about some of that, and you have a nice time there in LA.
Thanks, man, and hopefully you come visit us soon.
Yeah, I'm hoping to come visit there sometime soon. We'll have to see how that all works out, but yeah, I've never been to LA before, and I got to come see Lemmy's statue. That's one thing I want to see.
You got to see that. A lot of my friends are going down there. It's at the Rainbow, right?
Yeah.
They're taking photos of it. It's so cool. I actually had dinner with him at the Rainbow. He would sit in the back, and there was a Pac-Man machine that he used to love. Me and my friend, I was like 18, we're having dinner, and he just came there and sat with us and started talking to us, and we talked about the music business, and he told me a little bit of history of Motorhead, and it was like, wow, this is really cool. It was his hangout place over there, and he didn't have to sit down with us and stuff. We were like, wow, this is great, this is great, this is great. So, for them to have the Lemmy statue there and people were loving it, taking pictures of it, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I met Lemmy in 92 or 93, I can't remember, and we played snooker together.
He was just chill like that, huh?
Yeah, man, he was the coolest dude. I remember we were standing there, and this guy named Black Frank. That's the reason I got in the show. I told him I wanted to help, and because then I could hang out, and I got to meet, all of Motorhead, and I met Mickey D before he was even in Motorhead. He was just a roadie for him at the time, and anyway, the one thing I remember about Lemmy was we're standing there playing snooker, and Black Frank told me, he said, yeah, this guy wanted to come and work. He didn't care if he got paid or not. He just wanted to meet you. He said, well, here's your first lesson, kid. He said, since you don't want your money, give it to me.
Oh my God!
And
You know,
just a nice guy.
It was similar when I met Lemmy. He was kind of like not giving advice, but kind of like, here's what I know. And he was very knowledgeable. He didn't mind sharing his knowledge. He wasn't egoed out. Like,
No.
To share something with you.
You know,
and that was real cool.
You know, during that thing, he got pretty deep with us. You know, he was talking about where he plays all these festivals overseas, and you know, he don't like it. He didn't like it when people would thrash dance. You know, would do all that. But he said he's on stage, he can't control that stuff. And he tells a story about where this girl, he was at one of those big festivals over there. He saw the girl die right in front of him
Wow.
because she got smushed to death. And he said he couldn't just get off stage and get in the middle of all of it. And he said I stood there and I watched her die. He said, and I was just like, this is effing pathetic. He said, why do people act like this? He said, because I asked him, I said, do you feel like you were known for thrash dancing and all that stuff? And he said, well, Motorhead was a part of that, but I hate the fact we are. And he went in a story telling us about watching a girl die in front of him, and he
must have done something. Yeah, I mean, having watched that has changed your life.
He said it just, it was just, it was horrible. It was horrible. He said, and but he was, out of all the rock stars, I have to say him and oh crap, what's his name? Stevie Blaze from Lil X are probably the two down to earth guys I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
So
I haven't met him.
But anyway, I'll let you go, man. It's been great talking to you. We'll catch up later this week sometime. And like I said, thanks for calling and being a part of what I'm doing now.
Oh, thanks for having me. And sorry, I know we're going to do this a few weeks ago, but NAMM convention and all this craziness. So I'm glad we were able to do it tonight.
All right, man. You have a great night, okay?
Cool. So this is my first time on Facebook Live. Do I just hang up my phone?